going on, Bulls fans? Welcome into the Bulls Report. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about trading for Dejounte Murray, as Bleacher Report listed him as the dream trade target for the Chicago Bulls. And then also Devin Carter. Apparently, he got a promise from a team in the lottery that he won't fall out of it. Is it Chicago? We'll break that down on the second half of today's show. But let's kick it to what Bleacher Report had to say on the Bulls potentially trading for Dejounte Murray. So Bleacher Report, they were going over each team's dream trade target, and they listed the Atlanta Hawks point guard for Chicago. But they said Chicago finished 28th last season in assist percentage at 59.4, with DeRozan's 5.3 assists per game leading the team. Murray put up 21.1 points and 9.2 assists in his last year as a starting point guard with the San Antonio Spurs in 21, being named an all-star in the process. And he said a new starting backcourt of Murray and Kobe White, both at 6'5", would take playmaking pressure off of White, allowing him to attack more as a scorer. So an interesting thought coming out from Greg Swartz here. But when I was trying to just chalk up a trade and how this would work, I'm really not sure how a trade does get done. Now, we have heard that the Atlanta Hawks want to either move off Trae Young or Dejounte Murray. I am assuming they are going to trade Dejounte and keep Trae Young and then pair him up with Alex Sarr, the future number one pick in the NBA. But this is the best trade idea I could cook up, which had the Bulls receiving Murray and Sadiq Bay, and then the Atlanta Hawks receiving Alex Caruso and Zach LaVine. And my thought process here was, I think Dejounte Murray has more value than Zach LaVine, but also I think Alex Caruso has significantly more value than Sadiq Bay. Let's dive into Dejounte Murray here a little bit. So this past season, he was pretty good. His name was thrown out there in a lot of trade rumors up to the trade deadline, but obviously he did not get dealt. But in 35 minutes a night, he averaged 22.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, 6.4 assists, and he was pretty efficient as well. And in terms of his shooting numbers, this was the best shooting year of his career so far. And, specifically the catch and shoot three-point percentage for Dejounte Murray was fantastic at 39.2%. And when you think of him, you think of just a hyper-athletic, rim pressure attacking guard. Well, he was able to shoot the ball pretty well this past season at 39.2%. Pull-up three-point percentage, took about 3 of those a game. He shot that at 32%. Pull-up midi field goal percentage, shot that at 4 attempts per game, and it was fantastic at 51.6. What I love the most about Murray, his jump shot, he's got a super high release, so when he is getting to those pull-up jumpers, there's really nothing you can do. There is really no shot contest that is going to throw off his ability to put the ball in the bucket. But some more advanced stats here. So points per isolation. If you guys don't know what this means, so every ISO possession that Dejounte Murray ran last season, they counted how many points he had per those possessions, which resulted in 1.10 points per ISO, 84th percentile in the league. Points per pick and roll when he was the ball handler, not as high as I thought, only at 51.3 percentile in the league. Points per spot of possession, pretty solid, though, at 1.15 points per spot of possession, which was not too bad. So Dejounte Murray, his game is that typical, big attacking guard that can also have great playmaking ability. But another guy that the Bulls are getting in this deal is Sadiq Bay, personally one of my favorite players in the NBA, went to Villanova and played his college ball there. And if you guys have been paying attention in the league lately, these Villanova basketball players are just winning at the highest level. I mean, look at the New York Knicks, for example. But the three-point shooting for Bay has gone down this past season, which, could accumulate that to, him kind of being flooded out of the rotation with a guy like Jalen Johnson steadying up and him just not being able to get in rhythm. But he is a big-time forward, has really good size to him, and is able to put the ball in the bucket at a very high level, averaging around 13, 14, 15 points per game over the last couple of seasons. And besides last year, he has stayed fairly healthy. He did tear his ACL, so keep that in mind at the second half of the season. But besides that, he's been healthy throughout his NBA career. So this trade idea, is this going to go down? There's probably a less than 1% chance this happens. But this would be a blockbuster move. And, maybe the Atlanta Hawks are thinking Zach LaVine would be a better fit next to Trae Young. Pair that up with Alex Sarr. We have Jalen Johnson. That's not a bad, good core they could build around. Then you also throw Caruso in there. One of the biggest, winning basketball players, we have in the league in terms of impacting winning on the court. So this was the trade idea I cooked up, but you guys let me know. Would you accept this deal? Give me an A for accept or a D for decline in the comments section, even if you're a Hawks fan watching this show. Really curious to see what you guys would say if you guys would, let this deal go down. But give me an A for accept or a D for decline. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to be going over the Ringer's latest mock draft where they did have the Chicago Bulls drafting Providence guard Devin Carter. So we'll dive into that here in a second. But first off, guys, I want to tell you about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app and use promo code CLNS when you're making your first deposit, and we are going to match it up to $100. Prize Picks is the #1 fantasy sports app out there, so make sure you guys take advantage of this first deposit match up to $100 and get hooked up today. With NBA Finals starting this Thursday, I already have a lineup cooked up for that. I'm going to take the more on Jason Tatum, just a half a point. They got a deal going on right now, so take advantage. Then I think Luka, he's going to, stay hot, and he's going to go in the TD Garden and absolutely light it up. So I'm going to take the more on his 31.5 points. Then Derek Lively has just been awesome for the Dallas Mavericks. So I'm going to take the more on his 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But even when the finals are over, the hoops action does not stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is just getting started. And with young stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese of our very own Chicago Sky looking to make names for themselves alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson, you could win up to 100 times your cash by just watching them ball out. So download the Prize Picks app today, use promo code CLNS, and we'll match your first deposit up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. So in the Ringer's latest mock draft, they had the Bulls selecting a guard, which was a bit of a shocker, but it was Devin Carter out of Providence, who, personally I'm a big fan of his game, but we'll talk about his fit here in a second on how he would, mesh with the Chicago Bulls backcourt. But Kevin O'Connor does a really good job with the Ringer. He wrote up this article about the Bulls drafting Devin Carter, saying league sources say that Devin Carter has received a promise somewhere in the lottery that he will not fall, outside of it. Could that team be the Bulls? Carter would be a great fit next to Kobe White as a lockdown defender who can thrive with or without the ball on offense. Plus, DeMar DeRozan could leave in free agency where he would fit with the Clippers if Paul George would to sign elsewhere. So there'd be an immediate minutes void that Carter could fill. And when I was reading this, I just feel like a lot of people are forgetting about Ayo Dosunmu. Like, Ayo is a Devin Carter type of player where it's like he is, defensive-minded. He's got a super long wingspan, super athletic, and he can play off the ball just like Devin Carter. So I don't necessarily understand the fit with the Chicago Bulls, but, some more on Devin Carter. He is on the older side. He is 22.2 years of age as it stands right now, but coming in at 6'2", 193 pounds, has a really solid frame on him, which allows him to be the defender that he is, because when guys are trying to turn the corner on him, he's got a strong chest that it allows him to cut off those driving lanes, and his wingspan's fantastic. 6'8" for a 6'2" guard. You love to see that there, but this guy was a rebounding machine, and, I compare him to a guy like Josh Hart of the New York Knicks, just, undersized, players in the league that, put up ridiculous rebounding numbers. He averaged almost 9 rebounds a game last season for the Friars, and he was able to put the ball in the bucket at a high level and really made a name for himself in the Big East by almost averaging 20 points a game, 47.3% from the field, and 37.3% from downtown. He was fantastic for the Friars last season, and that's gets me to this. I like Devin Carter as a prospect. Like, if the Bulls were in a different situation and they didn't have an Ayo Dosunmu or a Kobe White, sign me up for Devin Carter being on this basketball team. But I just don't necessarily love his fit for the Chicago Bulls because of kind of what I mentioned earlier. You already have Ayo Dosunmu, and if you do keep a guy like Alex Caruso, I just don't really see where his fit would be within this team. So I would like the Bulls to go in a different direction. Maybe it's a guy like a Cody Williams. Maybe it's a guy like even a Dalton Connect. Like, I would rather see Chicago get either a big two-way athletic wing or just a true center, like trading up for Donovan Clingan. I just don't necessarily understand why people even think the Bulls would be in the guard market. Even talking about the Dejounte Murray trade we just talked about. Like, talk about a 6'5" guard who's defensive-minded, who can initiate offense. That is Ayo Dosunmu as well. So I just don't necessarily understand why people are, so, persistent on the Bulls getting a defensive-minded guard next to Kobe White. Well, we have that at home. We already have that on this roster. in IO. So, I don't necessarily, love the draft pick of Devin Carter. I like him as a prospect, nothing personal with him. It's just, it just all comes down to fit here. And I think, in this draft, like, prospects probably 7 through 22, there's not really that big of a difference between all of them. All of those guys, like, it's not like there's a couple guys that are really, stand outish, in this class. I just think it's going to come down to fit. Go the Cody Williams route, go the Dalton Connect out, and I think it'll work out a whole lot better for the Chicago Bulls. But maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe you would draft Devin Carter. Give me a D for draft or give me a P for pass down in the comment section. Curious to see what you guys have to say because, again, good prospect. Just don't necessarily understand the fit there for Chicago. But just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the channel as of recently. It's been awesome. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Stay up to date on the latest around your favorite basketball team. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.